now you can pick up our classic large fries for just $1.
Welcome back, and before we get into it, just want to make you guys aware of a competition that Riot is running that you can be a part of. It's an art competition. We all love the art competitions. This one has 2 waves, so it's built around the arcade line of skins that are coming back. The first wave of the competition is to create a pixel artwork recognizably depicting at least one League of Legends champion in an existing or imagined arcade skin. And then the second wave of the comp is to create a comic book cover. It must include a title, and it should depict either a League of Legends champion or an existing or imagined Demacia Vice skin.
Imagined. Make your own skin.
Make your own skin. It's an exciting time to be alive. So please get involved in that. And there are prizes if you do well in both levels or waves of that competition. So get on board. Bryce.
Before we start,
please.
This is the first time I've been able to sit down with Bryce because he also dogged us at lunch. You bought me Macca's last week, and then you gave me your bank details, and one of us got it wrong. Because I got a letter from ANZ saying that the $10 I've sent Bryce Paul for the McDonald's has bounced.
You only sent me $10.
Well, you said it was $10.
I didn't send you anything.
Yeah,
you didn't even tell me.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't say anything. I just assumed, like, we're such good friends that you guys would get me back. And he asked.
So I apologize.
I bought everyone coffees that day.
Yeah, look, I don't actually care. But, I mean, maybe I got it wrong.
Remind me in 10 minutes to ask you for your bank details again.
All right.
Welcome to the couch.
Thanks, bud.
Please don't pee yourself.
I won't.
Because I know you need to go.
Yeah.
Really badly, but all the players were using the bathrooms.
Yeah, they really clogged up the bathrooms. In terms of closing the doors, I didn't get in the door, so who knows what they're doing inside.
All right, time to move on. That's enough talk about the bathrooms. It's time to get down to the thing that we're all here for, and that is, of course, to talk about Pulp Fiction.
Yes.
Bryce, of course, every day here at the OPL,
ready.
We learn about League of Legends, we talk about League of Legends, we live and breathe League of Legends, but we also feel like you need to start living and breathing some other things. It's time to broaden the interest of Bryce away from just League of Legends and not peeing.
And Scrabble.
And Scrabble games.
I'm a Scrabble king.
Yeah.
So we've gone for very old movie. That's broadening my horizons.
We went for a film that...
Sorry, it is a film. I'll accept that.
Well, I mean, will you? Because I don't know if you've even seen the credits. We went for a film that explains a lot to you as a sort of, as a pop culture aficionado. You'll suddenly get a bunch more references on the internet in life because you've seen this film.
Yeah.
Which I assume you've now seen.
Yes. So I went home and you know what I mean? Like I commuted back to Canberra. I was putting in the hard yards for you guys on the OPL. And yeah, I was watching Pulp Fiction and I got to the last act and I was like, I'm pretty tired. So I went to bed. And then I moved to Sydney. So I spent the last couple of days packing, driving, unpacking, doing a whole bunch of cleaning. And then I haven't seen the last act.
If I hear from anyone in your personal life that you have so much as got a breakfast, like gone out and done anything not Pulp Fiction or OPL related, I'm going to be very angry.
Had better have
and I'm quizzing them.
Putting together a bed for 5.5 days straight, which from what I hear is nearly accurate.
Yeah, I got boomed by IKEA, but that's fine. But look, okay, but I will say, from the Pulp Fiction that I have watched, I am a goddamn expert.
Okay, right.
So I'm not going to lose.
You
I
have
don't know
studied
if I can
up.
lose, but yeah.
What is a pass mark? Is it 50%?
How is this working?
Is it
Like, what am I doing?
Okay, so I've got a sort of rapid fire quiz for you.
I'm on the spot. Okay.
Yeah, I do want to know, before we get to that, your opinions on the film, because we need to know, this isn't just a test, this is an appreciation.
Yeah.
And I've also got a prize for you if you do well.
Okay, so sick. It wasn't. I've seen the film before, in bits.
Doesn't count. You fell asleep the last time as well.
Yeah. But like and it's not what I thought it was.
That's because you fell asleep.
Yeah. Right. But I'm an honest.
What did
guy.
you think it was?
I don't know. I thought it was I thought it was like a super serious, like, oh, it's like a classic film. Oh yeah, like everyone's like, this is so sick. But
You thought it was like Citizen Kane.
I don't know what that is. But it's like it's like hilariously over the top.
Yeah.
Right? Which is like the point, which I now get because I've seen most of the film. I enjoyed it. I think it's like kind of funny. I also kind of didn't enjoy it. Like it's kind of like, I don't know what it is about it. I just didn't. I would never rewatch it. I'm never like, wow, that was sick. I want to rewatch it. It didn't strike that chord. But like, it wasn't a bad time.
Do you feel like part of that could be because you don't know how it ends?
Probably.
I mean, arguably the last third of most films, probably the least exciting part of
The
most
movie
films.
starts with the people like holding up the restaurant,
Yep.
cafe, whatever, like
Yep.
the diner, and I just never saw them again. They only, apparently, so I've heard they only exist in like the last act, and so I saw them go like bang bang, like give me all your money,
Yep.
and then that's it, never again.
To be fair, Jake, because this is one of your favorite films.
Yes.
Pulp Fiction, an unconventional narrative structure.
Yes.
You could argue this is just Bryce putting a Pulp Fiction-esque viewing experience to the film.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And watching it, like you could watch the last third in 2 years' time.
Yeah.
And complete the Pulp Fiction viewing experience.
Yeah, because I mean, I was literally told when I was like, "You're giving me homework. This is bull." You were like, "No, you can. It's in acts, and it also isn't like chronological, so
Yeah.
you can split it up."
Yeah.
So yeah, it
But
was
split
entirely
it up
intentional.
still means complete.
Yeah.
Correct.
Look,
Jake,
it's fine. We made it.
Panther
busy
Oz
week.
in chat says, "Let him pee," and I would if he finished the film, but he had. So we are now going to test that knowledge of that
Okay.
film that you haven't quite finished.
Yep.
I can't remember exactly how many questions here involve the last act, but we'll find out. Do we have some sort of?
You've got cards.
I've got cards.
Okay, yeah.
This is the thing. I've also got a prize for you. In fact,
Is it? What is?
Put it on the table.
That's really
Hang on.
big. Need help? You're good.
we're good.
Can I test the
Can I
weight?
No.
leave it there? Is that
it's
okay?
go-
Okay.
It's just
cool.
going to be an empty box.
All right.
I'm so pissed. This is
All right.
Rapid fire.
rapid
We're gonna keep
fire.
score?
All right.
Jake, I'll get you to chime in
you
when
want-
you want.
Yeah. Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Can we please have the ticking music?
It's on.
I call you Pumpkin. You call me.
I don't know.
Honey Bunny? Is
Honey. Is this the first two? Honey Bunny. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yep.
Incorrect, because
Yeah.
Jake said Honey Bunny
Yeah.
before you did.
I actually knew that one. God damn it.
Why did Marcellus Wallace throw a man off his balcony?
Because he gave his wife a foot massage.
Correct.
Yes.
Who has tasty burgers?
God, Jake said it at the start of the day.
Big Kahuna
Big
Burger.
Kahuna Burger. Yeah.
Big
no, I
Kahuna
remember.
Burger. I hear they got some tasty burgers. Bryce, incorrect. Jake
Yeah.
said it
And he
before
asked
you did.
Vincent, and he's like, "Have you ever had one?" He's like, "No."
Yeah, a classic time from the film. Definitely the most iconic part. What shouldn't you say one more time?
I have no idea.
What? Incorrect. How many wars did the Coolidge watch survive?
No idea.
3. Name those wars.
One. But no, it was only one.
1,
then
2, Vietnam.
Thank you very much. Incorrect, Bryce. Correct, Jake. And for bonus points, how many asses has that uncomfortable hunk of metal been in?
2.
Trick question. We don't know if the kid put it up his own ass. It was, after all, a family tradition. What is Jules' favorite Bible verse?
Ezekiel something number something
29:13.
number. Yeah.
I'll give you that one because
Yeah.
you've done so rubbish at the rest of them. What song is playing when Vincent arrives to pick up Mia?
No idea. I don't,
You'll
Son of a
be
preacher man. Jake, take it away.
I don't even.
No, it's Son of a preacher man. Incorrect to Jake as well.
I couldn't
yeah.
even name that song.
Who
Like,
could ever treat
Yeah.
me was son of a preacher man.
Yeah.
What is the name of the pilot Mia was in?
the pilot. Oh.
Even I don't know this
No.
one, but it's
That's
about
so-
them being badass woman spies.
Fox
Yes.
Force 5. Incorrect.
Fox
Check out,
Force 5. Yeah.
check out the big brain on.
Brad.
Incorrect. His actual name is Brett, but Samuel L.
Brett.
Jackson says Brad. What book is Vincent reading in the bathroom? You'll never get
when
this
he,
one.
That's
when
in
he
the
comes
last
out
scene.
and gets last scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Modesty
Bible.
Blaze. What film do you think what film did you think Pulp Fiction was when we were talking about this last week?
It doesn't matter what I say.
Yeah, you thought it was a different film.
Oh.
This is a fact about you, Bryce, not even the movie.
No, I have this. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Incorrect.
No, I
Reservoir
don't.
Dogs.
Yes.
What do they call a quarter
Mr.
pounder?
Mr. Pink.
Last question. What do they call a quarter pounder in Paris?
I know this.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
Do you want me to say it?
Yes.
La Royale with
Yes!
cheese.
God damn
Incorrect. The question was, what do they call a quarter pounder in Paris? Not what Pulp Fiction says they call a quarter pounder in Paris. Since the French words for both burger and cheese, burger and fromage respectively, are masculine nouns, the adjective corresponding to either of them would also be the same gender, i.e. royal, not royale. So the correct answer is royal cheese. You lose. You stole fizzy lifting drinks. You bumped into the ceiling, which now has to be washed and sterilized. You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir. But
All right. Let's. Okay.
That's
How
from
about you
Charlie
some
and the
questions?
Chocolate Factory.
What does honey No,
Yep.
not Honey Bunny. What does Pumpkin order at the restaurant at the start of the movie?
Nachos.
No, he orders a Denver omelet. What scene was filmed backwards?
The whole film.
No. The scene where she gets like pumped in the chest and they
Oh, yeah,
she
yeah,
like
that's
falls
good.
on yeah,
Wait,
she gets
wait,
revived.
wait, wait.
Okay.
You've been Googling Pulp Fiction trivia.
I haven't.
You absolutely have.
No. Where is the continuity error in the film?
The whole thing is backwards and you never saw the ending.
When Mia is sitting there and she gets the bag out of the jacket, but she wasn't wearing the jacket in the frame beforehand.
You absolutely have been looking up trivia for Pulp Fiction.
I actually haven't. I've just been told all these things as I was watching the movie.
But do we have enough correct answers for a grand prize? I think we do. Hit the success music. Well done, Bryce.
What is happening?
And twist and pull the button. Pulse, twist and push the button.
My empty box.
Spray the money.
Oh, this is a complete failure.
This is a total.
What is going on?
Total
He
disaster.
got a
Yes, I get the
microwave.
microwave. I get an empty
Congratulations,
microwave
Bryce.
box.
What is Pulse doing?
All right, that was $75 at a same-day courier.
Can I
well
have
spent.
that?
You've won yourself a.
No. The last. Well, it's
It's a Pulp Fiction themed
It says
microwave.
microwave inside.
Yeah, but look at the front. Congratulations, Bryce. You're our grand winner. Roasty and Pulse are going to try and figure out how to spurt all those American $1 bills over in our direction.
What
But it
is
didn't
going
work
on
at
at
all.
the caster desk?
This went exactly like I thought it would.
So
Thank you very
what
much
was
for
in
participating.
the briefcase?
I don't know. You don't find out. You told me you don't find out.
No, it's the last scene of the film.
No, but
Oh.
what do you think it was?
I have no idea. Well, it has a
So
light. It's just
apparently, it's
an
Marcellus
LED.
Wallace's soul.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I would have said dignity.
Dignity.
Yeah.
Can you? What is the ending? Can you just tell me? Now I have no reason to watch it.
So Samuel L. Jackson pretty much quits being a hitman,
Yeah.
and John Travolta gets shot on the bathroom because he has.
No, well, I saw him get shot.
Oh, you
Wait,
saw that?
No, John
No,
Travolta. No, he
because
gets
the
shot
la-
much
the-
earlier. He
the
gets shot by
last scene-
Butch.
The last scene is John Travolta seeing Honey Bunny and what's her face in the diner.
Yeah.
And talking them out of
Robbing the place.
Yeah.
And Samuel L. Jackson, like, pretty much says he's done with
Yeah.
everything. And
Yeah.
leaves into the
Okay.
horizon.
Yeah, there you go. Good movie. All right, well, thank you very much, everyone, for participating. At some point, maybe we'll do it next week, we're going to shoot that confetti cannon because we spent a lot of money on that, and really, we do not have the budget for it. The next game for today is Bombers versus Legacy, and we have messed around enough with the GIMP microwave. It is time to throw directly into the Le Royale Macca's Champ Select.
Can I just say, this is primed, and I don't know if it's
Yeah,
going to go
we-
off at any moment or not.
So the insurance call we actually had to take off, but now it's prime because we pressed the button.
We have followed every
So-
instruction, and it's meant to have worked. And I'm so terrified to let it go because
It literally could go off at any moment. What was that noise?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so let's get into this next game. Please take this away. Thank you.
Save me. If anything, if you hear loud noises, you know that it was Nick Boy.
It was the confetti cannon.
We've got a game though, Boss.
Oh, God, he's
he's
armed.
aiming at us.
He's trying. Yeah, see, you twist and nothing happens.
There's Bombers and Legacy.
Bombers and there is a weapon being aimed at my face, Rusty. Yes, Bombers versus Legacy, 3-3-1-5. Legacy still trying to make it happen, still trying to find themselves a composition that works and a strategy that works, as Nick Boy is also trying to find a method to twist the cannon that works, that would make it fire.
Yeah. As we said before, we'll go through draft here. Just keep in mind that there's a weapon aimed towards us.
You know, sometimes casters say things and you're like, wow, that's really out of character. Is there like a gun being held to their head?
Yep.
In this case, literally, yes. There is a gun being held to our heads.
Writing draft is very difficult.
It is indeed. So, Sejuani, Skarner. It's also, as now Jake is armed with the weapon, twists it, it kind of goes all over the place. So it could be an arch, and it could be aimed at directly our chest. The weapon is down, folks. We're good. Yeah, so Bombers are going to ban Sejuani, Skarner, and Legacy
I just want to
taking away
apologize to
Colour.
everyone at home that has no idea what's going on and you're running through your imagination as we scream and you're looking at a draft. So I'm looking forward to talking about the draft now that we're safe.
It is as shocking as you may have imagined. Yeah, it looks taken off the table. Saw it looks last game. can it go full, I believe. Yasuo ban here.
Lux was banned in the first game, as was the Karma, so Legacy actually replicating the red side bans from the first game. It was available and picked by Direwolves in the second, being seen on the blue side of the Rift. Direwolves very clearly having a lot of success with the pick, and the champion for Totoro is a very high priority, but unfortunately for them, they lost the game. However, he played well. Now the Yasuo ban, that is interesting. It's a very specific ban. It feels like away from Chaz. You know, there's a high priority on the Gragas Yasuo 2v2 that we're seeing a lot, but more often than not, I would say you've seen it picked on the blue side as a 4-5 rotation. So it's surprising to see it banned so early.
Well, big priority coming down on the Yuumi as first pick for Bombers, and Legacy picking up the Aatrox and the Sivir. Saw Aatrox jungle both games actually today. One did well, one did not do well.
For those who don't know Rogue, he is absolutely obsessed with cats. He believes they're better than dogs, and while I disagree with him, he has locked in the cats, so we cannot argue with him about it anyway, as the Yuumi will be locked in. Now you can see the Sivir, and this may just be a hover from Luch. I would be very curious to see if he considers it in the future, but Draven, one of those champions that can be coupled with the Yuumi quite well, as we'll see more of a mage-type champion in the Ezreal for what was a former mage player in Luch, now switching to AD carry.
Yeah, I guess to flex some of those old muscles that he had in a different lane. Are you right there, Rusty?
Yep, that was really loud. Bryce has done something with the settings.
Classic. Yeah, Akali also picked up by Bombers here. And we've got a final pick of Nautilus before we get into our second phase of bans.
Yeah, right now you've got one flex for both sides, and with bottom lane secured, I mean, right now the ban should be hotly contested towards, I would say, junglers. Guts, of course, having the first priority of pick here, being the fourth pick on the red side. Will have the luxury of choosing either to not ban a jungler if they want a priority champion, or continuing to pinch the pool and seeing where Wilder can go. You know, what are the depths of his champion pool starting to look like? As Bombers on the other side, they've actually banned away from mid lane, focusing Chaz. The Yasuo, I would say, has also done a very similar thing here. So two bans taken away from the mid laner of Legacy. A big thing that he really enjoys right now is the roaming from mid lane, I would say, and, you know, being able to work with Guts.
Olaf, Fiora, and Talia and Azir all gone currently. Seeing a lot of Azir actually recently. Elise, hello. Going to be picked up here by Legacy.
And a very high priority seemingly here from Legacy towards the Elise, and I don't think that's a takeaway from Wilder by any means. I think it is something that they're very comfortable with. Nautilus and Elise as a duo do have a lot of pick potential. And the Cocoon's hitting, the Hook's hitting. Allow the other one to follow, as once again we're going to see some priority towards the Gnar being picked in topside. Even potentially blind, though I don't think it will be. I would suspect that that is into the Aatrox with confidence here from Bombers.
Yeah, Lee Sin for the jungle, and Ari, okay, for the mid lane here by Legacy. So we definitely see, you know, some Ari, some Elise, just not all the time compared to a lot of the other junglers and mid laners.
Yeah, I mean, Ari's rare, and I would say Ari's one of those champions that everyone can play, but no one really wants to, you know? Most people would look at her, and one of my favorite quotes, I think, of all time was the mid laner of Order in Swiffer, picking Ari and just saying it's the best champion in the league because no matter how bad or well you play, you can't die to ganks. You've got 4 dashes. It's just so hard to kill that champion. But the advantage that Ari provides now, especially with the current item builds that are running around, is the Glacial Augment. So now you don't just have 4 dashes away. What you have is 3,000 units of distance that can be covered from the Spooky Ghost hitting to Ari hitting a charm. It is impossible to dodge charm once you're on the slow field from the Glacial Augment as well. And it really actually adds a layer of complexity and almost oppression from what is now a duo mid-jungle of the Ari and the Elise.
Yeah, a lot of pick potential on this team just in general. You already mentioned the Elise and Nautilus that we'll see come into play later for Legacy. On the opposite side, got Yuumi into the bottom lane on Ezreal, pairs very nicely, mid lane. Ryoma on the Akali. And yeah, Wilder in the jungle with that Lee Sin going to be getting onto the map very early, you'd have to imagine. And we'll see how this composition does.
Absolutely. I think a lot to prove here for a team like Legacy. Bombers, being 3-3, have plenty to prove themselves as a standing show, and a fairly comfortable draft from them.
Yeah, well, as we get into game, we have the coach from Legacy joining us. How are you going?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Pretty good, thank you. Now, how what are you thinking about these compositions coming in? Because we see Ari coming out from you guys into the mid lane. It's not something that we see every day.
No, it's not, but it definitely, I feel like it fits us quite a lot. So I'm really happy that this was a draft where we were able to bring it out.
And with the draft that you've got, of course, a lot of pick. So how do you plan on playing this one out early into the game? As, of course, Paprise is now going to be met by Bombers and will have to flash. What is it that Legacy as a team, now that you've got the drafts looked at, where would you be focusing? What's the priority?
I think it's going to come down heavily in mid-game. If Elise and Ari can create an impact around mid-game when they both can start one-shotting people, I think that's a big part of where this composition comes online. As for early game, champions like Israel Yumi can be very annoying to lane against. So if we lose a lot of priority lanes and Elise doesn't get to impact the map, that can be frustrating for us to deal with.
So these last couple of weeks have been pretty rough for Legacy in terms of wins and losses, and specifically we've been looking at the top side of the map with Paprise. Is this one of your solutions to try and deal with that problem that's typically been top side focused?
I feel like Paprise has been a bit more unlucky than he has been, choking or anything like that. I think he's still a really good player. I think a lot of the times the team's mistake as a whole come down to negatively impact him if we are not adequately impacting the side of the map that we need to be, and the other team is, then he's the one that gets punished. He's the one that looks bad, and it negatively affects him, and it really shouldn't, but that's just what it is sometimes.
And while we're taking that step back as well for Legacy as a whole, it was a very promising end to the first split for you guys. Lots of wins coming up, really causing some stirring in the top of the table towards the end of the split, and it hasn't continued with that upward trajectory. So what's the mood like in the Legacy camp? Because there's been clear improvements, but the results aren't still bearing fruit.
The first week was actually, I feel like it was pretty good for us. We had some really good early games, and I think we try to focus on those games that we did have that were good, the scrims that we have that look good, the positive aspects that we are bringing, and not so much the games that we feel like we've disappointed ourselves and maybe our fans. Because I feel like we are improving a lot. We are playing really well, and especially this week, I'm really confident. But sometimes we just don't have the best games, and it is what it is.
Yeah, a lot of respect for your mentality. Thank you so much for joining us, and yeah, we'll see you later.
Thanks for having me. Have a good one.
Very experienced player, Denian, one of the only people I think left in the scene that played in my era, which was too long ago. We don't speak about how long ago that was. Yeah, we're basically prehistoric members of Oceania.
But no, it's cool to hear some of that, I would say, well-aged wisdom, you know what I mean? Because it is almost from a different era, the way a lot of newer players think, and the fact that you can think of players have joined League of Legends, have gone through the cycle of I'm going to go pro, and all that happened after you guys were already pros, like so many different phases have gone on since then.
Yeah, a lot of maturity is learned through results and just time spent more than anything else. And, the thing that, while we're still on that point and before we get too deep into this game, that would almost terrify me to be any team in the OPL right now is just how genuinely close the ladder is. It's not easy to be an 8th place team in any league, but it's even harder when you are so close to other teams in terms of skill or constant improvements, but you just can't find those wins. And it's very frustrating at those points, but at the same time, it's very scary to be a top team and have to face someone like Legacy, who are definitely no slouches in terms of performance, and they can take games from anyone.
And I think that's what I think every single coach has said to us in every single interview, which is, I think these teams are strong right now, but every team is good and can take wins, and we have to respect everyone, And I find that to be super interesting.
Last split, when you ask the same question of the coaches, they would say there's a definitive top 3 and a lot of contest for who the top 5 would be. But now they're saying top 5s and still mentioning the rest of the teams.
Yeah. Bottom lane, in a bit of a rough spot. We've just taken a lot of hits. Got hooked a couple times.
It's not a safe lane to be in, as the Ezreal and Yumi, of course, very annoying champions, fairly safe with their range, but they often want to press up to poke you down, and that is one of the better ways to play the lane out if you are them. However, stepping up to a Sivir with boomerangs and a Nautilus with the hook always in range just makes life really challenging for them. And you can see what happens when a hook connects, as the health bars start to wane of the members of Bombers in that bottom lane, though teleports are up, so they'll be able to come back decently well.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the early laning phase out of in a teleport meta, right? It's just like, unless you confirm a kill with like a jungler or in 2v2, like it really doesn't matter as much because you're not necessarily just buying a wave or like a lot of minions. So they will be okay in the wave, in the end, picking up this wave. Legacy will also go for their first back. Yeah, looking towards the mid lane, we've got the Ahri coming through as well with Ryoma in the mid lane on something more, I guess, conventional in the Akali. It's funny, Ahri is like a pick that never truly disappears, right? Because like it is so accessible. Whereas you look at picks like, you know, Zillion, right? Which I would see as a more of a unicorn pick that you see like occasionally, like, oh, this guy's a Zillion player. There's always a possibility of it.
Yeah. Ahri is one of those champions though that like I would not say is defined by the meta, so that's where I believe you're correct in like she could exist. But when she was originally around, she was defined by what's Deathfire Grasp? The item Deathfire Grasp. And because that disappeared, so did Ahri for a bit, right? It just wasn't as strong, but still manages to come back, and I think Glacial Augment is another one. You know, it's not meta defined, but it is she strong in a circumstance defined?
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like, it's weird because it's the line between circumstantial and meta, right? And that's kind of like a gray area, but yeah, I definitely agree with you because itemization over the years has been such a big deal in how that's changed.
And the same thing with Corki. Like Corki always relevant to a degree. You know, when Trinity Force mid laners are a thing, he is going to be strong. When 3-item mid laners are a thing, he is going to be strong. When 1-item mid laners are a thing, not as strong. If Zed's in meta, Corki very risky. As an example.
Yeah, because it's more like you don't necessarily need to change the pick in terms of like the like abilities and like the numbers and stuff. It's just like when and where they crop up.
Because Corki is strong by levels as much as he is items, which is one thing that helps him be strong. Anyway, we should probably talk about the game that we've got going on.
It's also been a pretty quiet early game in terms of kills. We have had a bit of exchange in the top lane. You can see there is a big lead picked up by this Gnar into Paprise. About 3 or 4 waves, actually.
Yeah, certainly is.
It's to be expected from a Gnar into a melee matchup.
Mimic's also just one of the best laners. I would say he does a lot of subtle things very well, things that you won't often get to see as a spectator, but if you watch him 1v1, he just understands how to control his lane very well. Manipulating minion waves is always a thing that, you know, wins lanes, and you could honestly climb solo queue just by understanding how minion waves work and abusing that with a jungler. And speaking of, you've got a wave pushing right now, slightly towards Mimic, but he chooses to push it, even though his jungler's there, so...
Yeah.
Conscious choice, it, to me, indicates that they're either diving or they're defending Gnar as he pushes.
4-man collapse into the bottom side from Legacy. 3 in the top from Paprise, so it's a bit of an exchange in resources. Ryoma tagging on towards the high point strike and the follow through as well. Low with the ignite ticking, flashing back towards the turret. Actually decides to burn it. Yeah, first blood there to Ryoma. It was really a question of whether they wanted to use the flash there or not, Paprise.
Yeah, so Paprise flashes, and you may look at that and say that's a really weird flash, maybe even a bad flash. But what he had in his mind was that he could cancel Akali's R2 with his Q of his own. If that somehow cancelled the ultimate, maybe he gets out by the flash that was used there. But unfortunately for him, it made the Mickey. He looks a little bit unfortunate with the outcome as he does go down. That is the first kill. And look at the CSD, once again, happening in top lane.
Yeah, and I want to go back to what Denian was saying about top lane, because I fully agree that a lot of times you see this happen like game to game, week to week, where the top lane's exploited because resources are put elsewhere by your team, but also resources are put into the top lane by your opposing team, and your top laner looks bad, And I feel like from a mentality standpoint, that can be really rough, but I think if you have like a team and a community behind you who understands the situation and is insightful enough to understand what is going on, other than you're always behind in farm, you're always down in kills, and your tower always dies, then I think you can bounce back in that regard. But it's been rough. This last, I think, 4 games now for Paprise have been rough because of the priority put into topside.
And let's take a look at that as well on the minimap. The 3 control wards placed by Legacy are all bot side towards the dragon that'll be up in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. One of them even in the pit. So not necessarily replacing vision for topside control. And this is all pre-10-minute movements generally. As the kick's on here, Paprise in trouble.
Yeah, Sonic Wave is connected, waiting that one out before jumping over the wall, hitting the blast cone. Mimic already has the hop ready to chase him down, moving into the minion wave, and it really is just buying time at this point as the old True Shot barrage comes across, and Paprise is really just trying to delay the wave, and the inevitable as Mimic finds another kill into the top lane.
The real tragedy there is even though he is inevitably going to die, he even damages the minion wave. If Mimic wanted, could freeze it. Papyrus still has teleport, however, so he's going to hard push that wave. And even using the ultimate is Mimic. As Legacy, once again, they are on the bottom side and they have been spotted. So it's not as simple as just hit a cocoon and dive. It looks like they want to defend. Luch no ultimate. Does make this pretty hard to clear the wave, but they're seemingly safe.
Yeah, they're just getting these taps off, but it's just the fact that, yeah, Sivir has the spell shield right there, so it's
They don't want to die.
to jump on that.
Lee Sin's at the Herald. Surely spotted as well. There's a ward in the pit. There's a second one that's the Scuttle Crab, I believe, that was taken down. Nara is visible hitting that top turret with no teleport. And Bombers just walk up and defend 2v3.
Yeah, it felt like it was a medium risk play for high reward, and they probably just should have gone for it.
Yeah, I mean, they prioritized the turret. I shouldn't say that it's for free. They end up trading turrets.
Yeah. But yeah, basically it was a tower for a tower plus Herald going over to Bombers right here. So Wilder has a little bit of tempo in his pocket, ready to spend. Probably going to be mid lane.
I think this is a good moment for Legacy. At this exact point in the game, they have traded objectives. The Herald hasn't actually amounted to anything. They've got the vision set up on the bottom side as they have had for a while now. And they should look towards the dragon that is up in 25 seconds to use the item spikes that they have to try and force a fight. Because right now the gold lead is only really 1,000, and I would say most of the money for Legacy has been spent. And you want to try and keep it at a 4v4. I think that's the best case scenario. So with the top wave pushing from Papyrus, the fact that he's going to have the minions crash right now, I would say he should try and keep them busy, though he can't 1v1 an R and stop a teleport freely.
In the long lane, yeah.
Legacy should try and get the 4v4 as fast as they can without letting Mimic set up a wave. But how quickly that has disappeared, of course, when Mimic just walks in and is able to freely hard push. It's really hard for Legacy.
Yeah, it is. If the top lane had a little bit more pressure, you know, in a different circumstance, then it would be perfect, right?
They've brought Aatrox over. So they've just walked him here with teleport up. Teleport early usage, actually, by the Gnar. He's mega.
He's already megaed, and he's going to tick down very shortly, so he'll basically be mini Gnar for this fight unless Legacy engage right now, which they're not going to. Dragon down to half. Wilder.
I feel like Legacy might actually look for this.
This is a little bit concerning. Flash forwards, crazy, finding this one, blows up the jungler, but that's a big ult coming out from Yuumi. Ryoma into the backline, jumps through, finds one. Guts flashes the wall. Chaz on his way out as well, and Papyrus gets exploded. Mimic flashes the wall, in with the hop, chasing down Chaz. The rest of the team onto the Dragon. Big win here by Bombers.
And for the briefest of moments, you see what Legacy were thinking. We've got the item spikes. If we're ever going to fight, the answer is do it now. And Chaz, unfortunately, just going to be taken down as well. But the teleports are coming in, Pulse.
Freydif, he's here. Pretty much by himself, though. Guts has stopped his recall to come and help, but maybe now he's under attack. Takes the Blast Cone. And I think that should be it.
The teleport from Freydif in a very aggressive position after the play had fizzled out. Not exactly where he wants to be. Has to run away, and thankfully Elise was still in the area. But the end result of the fight is another death for Papyrus. And while Legacy get the trade and Lee Sin goes down, so big is the rest of Bombers. And the person I want you to keep your eyes on for this is Ryoma. Because Mimic doesn't have ult. The second he goes to mini, Legacy force their way into the river and say this is the fight we're after. But the stun from Ryoma here just connects with everybody. All of them get locked down. He does so much damage individually to the team fight that the number disadvantage that was forced is immediately matched. And Mini Gnar is still super relevant, much more so than the Aatrox and the Duro, so no items.
Yeah, from bad to worse, unfortunately, in that engage, because we were talking about the setup, and it's like, it would be good to see Legacy contest this one, but in the end, just end up dropping kills. And Dragon now over to Bombers. First Infernal again. Shelly gets dropped into mid lane. And Legacy is contesting. Not bringing down Freydif and Crazy.
They've got the numbers here. Bombers do not, so just summoning of the Herald. They're still looking towards bot lane, however. And as Mimic is hunting. Oh my god.
That was, yeah, that was an aggressive play.
Wilder is a unit. Like, Bombers find themselves these junglers, man. It's amazing. Just has to off the way. Yep. Give me a second to speak.
You may now speak.
Belkan is like the same. When you actually think to what week 1 Bombers look like, Belkan was I called him a unit at least 5 times. Yep. Wilder's a unit. He just takes the aggressive plays, and this is something that you don't expect to see from him. He's not a rookie to competitive League of Legends. He came from the LJL, a notoriously slow league. So to see that aggression from him, the killer instinct is actually really, really good to see. Because that is like him being Unleashed Pulse. You're absolutely correct. And that's just not on anyone's expectations.
Yeah, I mean, you never expect Lee Sin to flash wall at, what, 15 minutes on inner turret?
Yeah, with a minion wave right
yeah,
there.
to
that
try
could
and
block
get
it.
to thread the minion wave. It's like... and often when you make plays that crazy, they land because no one is expecting it, right? So good flash and return though, but from Pat Price basically neutralizing that play in the end. And we're now 15 minutes into the game. Dragon Peace, with a new dragon on the horizon in about 2 minutes from now. Super Soaker has been completed by Chaz. 2 kills in the mid lane, looking towards the Gunblade on Ryoma. Now completed.
And the gold hasn't really ballooned out of control right now at 15 minutes into the game. It was 1,000 before the dragon fight. It became 3,000 afterwards. And right now, when you look at the difference in gold across the team, it's pretty much just Nah that has the significant advantage. Even a slight lead for Praetus down there in the bottom lane in terms of gold. There's just no top laner. And the thing is, and you could remember back to the first game of the day, AV playing jungle with Aatrox. It becomes a 4v5 when that Aatrox is behind, because you don't get the second life, right? You don't get the resets. And I mean, that makes playing the game so hard against someone like an Ezreal and a Yuumi that'll poke you down in what already feels like a 4v5.
Yeah, super annoying to play into. You even heard that from Denny earlier. It's just annoying.
It just sucks. Playing League of Legends and knowing your opponents are Yuumi and Sivir or Yuumi and Ezreal is just very frustrating.
I think we all have the sense of that feeling, as we do have, Q connecting onto Guts, goes in for the repel, but crazy off to the side. Dragon's Rage only really taps the Nautilus. Charm goes wide. Here comes Mitt for the bottom side, though. Low health Nautilus. Guts over the wall. Ryoma finishes him off, and Pat Price comes in to try and defend the retreat, but he's down. A second, a third kill. Ryoma going crazy right now. Finally gets shut down by the turret. Tracking missile. Not going to be enough to kill.
The Scorch was so close, just a hair away from getting the kill, but no ace for Bombers. However, it's very, very clean from them. Rome is the only person who goes down. Now 4-on-1 on that Akali. Bombers disengage, go to mid wave, go to bot wave, push in those turrets as easy as you'd like. And that really is the makings of the lead that they have, starting to cement in a team fight. And it starts with a kick onto a Nautilus and a Q that was repelled. Chaz doesn't hit the charm, actually hits a small Krug, and Mimic, I'm pretty sure, just stands still and just kills people while standing. It's just a good time to be a Bombers player in a game like this. And then, of course, Roma on the backside, very close to getting a kill.
Yeah.
And also this,
Crit, by the
I
way.
won't say anything.
Yeah, unlucky. But yeah, it was Ryoma just finding his way into the backline, or you can eat buffet on all the squishies. Mimic turns himself into a turret. Feels good.
As you do as Mini-Nar.
As you do as Mini-Nar, yeah.
A glacial field, thanks to Glacial Augment.
Yeah, and that fight, I mean, it wasn't even the most spectacular start, right? Like, you even called it out with the Lee Sin, everything basically just just went in, kicks a Nautilus, and was like, all right, I've engaged. But still, threaded it past the minions there, the Raptors, makes it happen. And that kind of like is sentiment to what Bombers are capable right now. The fact that you can go in for the softest engage ever and have it still work out.
You mentioned it
almost
earlier.
perfectly.
You said Rome are on a pretty standard champion, honestly, of the Kali, but Rome is not a standard League of Legends player in the OPL. He is a superstar. He's just so good at playing these assassin champions that it really feels like he goes above and beyond the normal for what is a regular champion right now in the Akali. And at the same time, Roma and Mimic have been having a very good season, compensating for the new AD carry coming in, who Lucha's still 1-0-2, you know, he's not feeding or anything, he's playing well. But these solo laners have stepped up so much.
Yeah.
It's really, really good to see from what was our MSI representatives.
I mean, I think that certain players will just transcend the meta and the champions they're playing, right? Like, you do think of Ryoma picking up like the Akali. It's still an assassin and a playmaking pick at that, right? You think back to our days in the LPL, we look at Icon, we'd be like, that guy's a playmaker in every day and age, right? Well, he's always going to be an assassin player.
I don't necessarily want to compare like anyone to Icon, actually, while we're going. But I understand the sentiment that you're making. Yeah, people have their styles. And Roma's got his styles. He's a good LeBlanc Zed. You know, he's got that type of play as well. Akali's another one you add to the list. But also, he's one of the best Zoes in the league. So
it was just an assassin to an assassin compare, Rusty. It wasn't anything more than that.
Uh-huh.
Hit it doing quite well right now, actually. Yeah, Mimic in the bottom side. This is a fat Gnar. He has actually had a 100% kill participation for 0-5. 2.5 items at 20 minutes on Gnar. It's not something you really expect going into a game, to be honest, as a Gnar player.
Look, he is a full Frozen Mallet and Hex Drinker ahead, so that's a little bit too much to 1v1 in. Paprise is lucky when he gets a wave, and that is the state of the game for those two. A 2-level difference, 1.5 item completely between them. And if I was him, I would look at Mimic and say, well, thankfully he's kept his Doran's Blade and refillable because he doesn't have control wards to shut me out.
Yeah, right.
Because that is how he's still able to be enabled to farm. You can see the control wards right there, protecting him, where Mimic could have focus on vision, but I don't think he really cares. He's on the weak side of the map indefinitely. If they come to him, they lose Baron. So he's able to take that gambit and say, come at me.
Yeah. I wonder if Mimic feels so far ahead he'll now go for a damage item. Because he theoretically could.
Such as the Blade of the Ruined King? Or
Blade of the Ruined King, Runan's Hurricane, also hilarious on Gnar when he's ahead.
Wit's End isn't a bad
Wit's
choice.
End also great.
Not for lane, of course, but there is an Ahri and an Elise.
Runan's also lets you build up rage very quickly. So it also allows
That's
you
true.
to, when you teleport into a fight with 0 rage, you just go tap, 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 and you're full rage.
While we're speaking LPL builds, I'm pretty sure we saw a rapid fire cannon from one of them as well.
Ooh,
so
yeah, that's also a good choice.
anything's possible.
Yeah, it just allows you that first auto attack so you can start chaining. You know, I think all 4 of those items we just listed are great items in side lanes and also kind of in siege/teamfight situations.
I would say GA. I think GA is
that
the
would
best
be
choice
the
here.
smart choice.
Yeah.
But if we're talking hype picks when you are 4-0-5 and have
I want to get excited.
disposable
He needs his
income,
Zonias.
is that? Zonias. Does he have AP Richard? He doesn't hype over
Doesn't
it.
matter. He has the golden null.
That's true. Oh,
I don't
boy.
think he needs damage
This
items.
is 2 items without attack speed, and that was a straight up 1v1 kill.
Good lord.
Yeah. It feels bad if you're a side laner into Gnar, and that will pretty much happen to anybody who
I think-
lanes into him.
Yeah, this means Bombers can do Baron right now if they would like. As,
Ooh, Ryoma.
Charm.
There's the pick composition coming into effect from Legacy, but the kick is good from Wilder, chasing onto Chaz. He's low though. In comes
kill.
Luke for the cleanup though. In comes Ryoma, looking to chase down these last few squishies. It's only 2 kills though for Bombers across the board, and a 1-for-1 trade in topside. Crazy is low, and the Wolves are hunting. Oh, we cut away. It's too much to see.
He's dead. Crazy's dead to red buff.
I would have preferred just to cut away completely and just assume that he survived.
Don't look at explosions. Gnar breaks bottom as well. And Bombers, while it was a fight that Legacy start on their own terms with a charm connecting, just a little bit too far ahead here, Bombers, to lose that fight. Really a good kick from Wilder on the Lee Sin, once again showing his mastery of the jungle role and all the champions within it. And remember, through all of this, Bombers could go back to Baron at any point. Now, they aren't the best Baron team yet, but they do it pretty safely.
They do.
They just don't have a tank.
That is true. Yeah, they will have to try and split aggro. Looking towards Legacy, though, and I feel like they are kind of just up a creek without a panel, unfortunately. I'm looking towards like a single silver bullet that they can shoot and maybe take out Bombers, but it maybe would be it would be a pick, theoretically, because they have the CC chain. Unfortunately, the rest of the team happens to be there.
Some of the things that Legacy did well here is the Repel, the Ahri ultimate, very good to disengage out of the Yuumi ult, and a good flash from Praedyth, timed with the Ahri, with the Akali R2 to dodge that. So it's all nice from them, and you know that is how Legacy wanted to win this game. And if the gold was dead even, maybe they win that fight more comprehensively than anything we saw from them in the last one. Ahri, Elise, Nautilus, all very good at picking. You saw what it could have been as they are looking again.
Yeah, jumping forwards. The Super Soaker not connecting, and it's what we were talking about before. You want the slowdown, and now
It's Mega.
they are all in the middle of Mega Gnar. That's a good charm, though, but the follow-up is too good. Bombers all over Legacy right now. Double kill in for the Lee Sin. Guts goes down, triple for the Lee Sin. 4 kills to Bombers.
And a well-earned win it should be here for Wilder on this Lee Sin. Stellar performance coming out of him. Bombers, they'll go to the lane set up by Mimic earlier, and they're hunting to end the game straight away. They've got plenty of time. They should be able to get that one done here, no problems at all.
It's really just chasing the inevitable. It felt like after a certain point here, Bombers don't even need the Baron play to happen. Pushing now onto the Nexus turret. Praedyth, the only man left standing. He's got the 2 kills of the team, but I don't think a lot is left to happen. Nexus going to fall, and Bombers take the win.
Fairly clean-cut game from the Bombers in the end. After a little bit of diversity thrown into the draft from their opponents. Legacy looking at the picks like Ari, going hard for a team composition. They were bested by the much more standard-oriented build here coming out of the composition of Bombers. The Akali Faroma, good assassin player. You got the Ezreal Yumi, annoying poke that, allows the assassins to start to warm up, and they didn't even really need to go hard on the 1-3-1. They just let Legacy come towards them, because sooner or later, the pick composition has to try and find you in vision, and any time that someone went to the side lane, and namely, of course, the Akali, the rest of the Bombers escorted them there. So if there was a pick, it was followed through with a fight, and too easy they find the kills.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it was just another case to just address the elephant in the room, a top side just not going well for you again. And yes, it's also focusing to the top side, but it's like, it's trying to find a solution for this, and whether it's a pick, whether it's more priority in top side, something is not being addressed. And now with another loss, with only one win under the belt right now, Legacy, looking towards the next round robin, may need to change something up.
Yeah, and this is something that we've now acknowledged with the coaching staff of Legacy as well. They've said it's a problem, but they haven't said it's Pat Prize. It's a team thing, and that does mean it's a team-based solution. So this is something that we may continue to see until the solution is found. And, I mean, for Legacy's sake, you can only hope that it is simple.
Yep, and we'll see if they can find it. For now, we're going to send it back over to the couch.
Thank you very much. Whew, just got it in there. Look. Pretty dominant victory. Yeah, the earpiece. Yeah. Pretty dominant victory, I feel like, there for Bombers.
Yes, certainly the case. They were touching on it during the game, just on the segment right then, but like this is just a recurring thing that keeps happening. It's not like every game for Legacy, but every now and again.
The last 4, I think.
I mean, yeah, there's just like a blowout on the top side.
Yeah, and I think like you got to talk about why it's blowing out on the top side, because I feel like what happens is that Legacy are taking non-tempo jungles because Guts doesn't play tempo jungles. So they're playing things like Elise that have very bad, like large camp clears, like doesn't do things like Raptors and Golems very well, or very quickly in the early game really needs jungle item. And then when they're ganking top side of the map, he always shows bottom, right? And what that does is that just allows the jungler to spend as much time top as you want. And it means that if you don't have good vision on that jungler, top has to concede and mid has to concede. Because you're showing on bottom, whereas the other jungler is just sitting in topside jungle. They're either doing the double golems or they're sitting in the brush. They're not actually showing on that. So as soon as the jungle shows, you hard split the map, and then Paparize just gets dove because you lose mid priority, mid goes top, like game over from there.
And it's also, when you think about the kinds of junglers you're talking about, like Elise is obviously the prime example, but all of the guys that fall into the category of the stuff Guts is playing, like they want to be dictating.
Yeah.
If Elise is ganking all your lanes and like you're the jungler on the other side and you're reacting, it's like fine. But as soon as you do get split on and your hand is forced, like you only have the options that are presented with you. And then if those options suck for you, it's like, well, like you don't want to be like clearing golems on the other side, especially when Ezreal, Yumi are already like contesting you on your red buff.
And it's just why like vision on jungles is so important, because there's two different kinds of junglers, right? There's like Olaf and junglers like this, where you want vision because he's like a really quick clearer and then gets places first. Then there's like generally good gankers like your Elises, your Lee Sins, and you want to just catch them as they're coming into the gank so you can play safely for the gank time. And you got to ward differently for it. And I feel like this is an area of the game that like I wish I had a telestrator for it, because I feel like this is an area of the game in the first 7 minutes that if Legacy just got this right, would have so much more success, because their mid game doesn't look that bad once they get through that. Like the turrets break down, their deploys are quite good, they do set up for objectives, but when you're doing all these things from 5,000 gold down every single game with no top laner really being relevant, it looks inevitable that you're going to lose.
And it's also like, it just very obviously, but the nature of early game problems means you just like, it happens. It's the first thing that happens. And it's just like, okay, like this is it, I guess. And then like it must be like a frustrating game to play. And like Zach hit on it, like they've talked about it, saying like it's a team-based solution. It definitely is, because it is the disconnect between multiple people. And like he hopes the solution is simple. And yes, because Legacy is that team that like roster didn't change. Split 1 was like building, and we're talking about these guys. Praedyth role swapping looks to be getting better and better. Chaz is the same sort of thing, and this is really like a hiccup that's just been like, this is now a couple of weeks in a row of the same thing happening.
Well, the problem is you've now given teams a blueprint how to beat you.
Yeah.
And I feel like Order's kind of done the same thing, to be honest. And now both of them are trying to get over that one speed hump that teams are using as a blueprint to beat you. Like, people know that Order, like, must play teamfight at this stage. So people are playing, like, things that either come online quicker or they're just splitting up the map a lot and Order's getting very frustrated. And I feel like Legacy is another team that's fallen into that basket. And I was actually going to say it in a precursor to the next game as well. I feel like Gravitas is also being figured out because they can play 1-3-1 very well, but their team fighting is kind of lackluster at the moment. So I feel like the bottom three teams all have this similar problem that they're very telegraphed as what they bring and very one-dimensional. And teams in the OPL, this is why I actually think the OPL has got better, are very good at now breaking that down and beating you in that way. And I feel like it's a big problem right now for the bottom three sides.
We've got an off week coming up next week. Is 2 weeks enough time for these teams to be able to like break that cycle?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. I'm not sure if the game patches in the off week.
It does.
So like we're going to be on a different patch, potentially like depending on what the changes are, like how big they impact the meta. Like it could be seeing different champions, yada yada. So the game blueprint in general changes slightly, and then like it makes it easier, maybe it makes it harder, but like any like external changes around that kind of makes it easier to get over this one different thing. And it's also just a break. Like they can just scrim the whole time. It's not like you
or
break.
not scrim. Sometimes
actually,
a break is actually more important. You know?
Actually have a
I
break.
hope that people are taking like 2 or 3 days. Like you should scrim somewhat during it, but I want like players to get 2 days off because I feel like this has been a very busy season already. And Bryce would know this. Like there's 2 ways to overcome a problem in scrims: either get better at the actual problem or change styles. And all it takes is like one good set for that to actually drop before like all of a sudden you're like from a 0 on a concept to like 100 because League is such a punishing game. Like when they kick a goal in other sports, the pitch doesn't start tipping, right?
Yeah,
so you only gave up the goal.
You don't get more feet on the other side.
If you fail one gank bottom lane in League of Legends and they succeed in killing
the
top,
entire game,
it starts getting harder to make your game plan work. So all you need is one game where that doesn't happen, or you succeed and they fail, and then it's just so much easier to execute upon. Then you start getting belief, trust, and it starts rolling back the other way. So I really think that these teams are just like one moment from the penny dropping before they fix these issues.
That's a great point. You're surprisingly good at your job. We'll be back right after this break.
Resources. Ryoma hanging on towards the high point strike and the follow through as well. Low with the ignite ticking, flashing back.
I feel like Legacy might actually look for this.
This is a little bit concerning. Flash forwards, crazy, finding this one, blows up the jungler, but that's a big ult coming out from Yuumi. Ryoma into the backline, jumps through, finds one. Guts flashes the wall, Chaz on his way out as well, and Paprise gets Charm goes wide. Here comes Mitt for the bottom side though. Low health Nautilus. Guts over the wall. Ryoma finishes him off and Paprise comes in to try and defend the retreat, but he's down. A second. Not connecting. That's what we were talking about before. You want the slowdown, and now they are all in the middle of Megalon. That's a good charm though, but the follow-up is too good. Bombers all over Legacy right now. Double kill in for the Lee Sin. Guts goes down. Triple. I don't think a lot is left to happen. Nexus going to fall and Bomb.
It's what separates us from the animals. Evolving throughout our 200,000-year history. And finally, perfected.
Welcome to OPL, mothers. This is how we roll. So mix this bad boy in.
Looks more like ET's head than Nico's head.
We are in the middle of a very good League of Legends series.
We're tension breaking.
She just turned into a brick. Yeah, I thought you were just an idiot, but you've actually got a reason.
If you want to come down here and show how the big boys how to do it, then have a go, mate.
This is now an abomination.
So who here wants a really mediocre painting of Gragas? I'm impressed. I think it's not quite Gragas tier, but it is definitely OPL tier.
Who will be immortalized into OPL history?
How about 4998?
A little goes a long way at Macca's. Right now, you can pick up our classic large fries for just $1.
I just don't. I mean,